Hello, lovely people. It's Ola here. I had actually recorded this already, and you wouldn't believe it. I ranted on for 10 minutes, and then I realized it didn't actually record. Yeah. Today, I'm doing a review of this book, well, basically like a discussion of this book. I read this about 2 years ago. No, I lied. I read it about 11 months ago. And I think like this is just one of those books that everybody needs to have in their library. Like if you can't have it in your library, you need to have it on your phone. Listen to it. It is so good. And one of the things I love the most about it and what made me actually pick it up is it says 7 habits of highly effective people. So I'm one of those people that just believe that in every situation, like even when you go to any country, in every situation, you know that old Pareto rule thing. I'm a big firm believer in it. I believe that there are rules that govern that particular entity, that particular industry, and you want to find the 20% that actually makes the 80% difference and do those activities over and over and over. Because what I've noticed is that people who are successful financially, it's not that they've got two heads or they've got like they just have different habits of thinking, different habits of actually saying things. And when you say different ways of actually saying things, those things actually boil down to an habit. Because if anything that is what doing every day, is what doing every time. And so I'm always looking for that. What is that 20%? So when I saw the 7 habits of highly effective people, I knew I had to pick it up and I knew I had to read it, which is what I did. And yeah, right off the bat, just because I'm doing this thing now, if you had watched my other video, you would have seen where I'm picking 3 things from a book that between 1 to 3 things that I can actually implement and actually do that. Because what happens is a lot of time we read books and it's all well and nice. You've got all that knowledge. You're a pretty knowledgeable person, but are you implementing it? Because we know whatever it is that you don't implement consistently is not going to give you any result. So, um, just give me a second. I'm just trying to find something here. I did open it, but I was so gutted when I couldn't find the recording that I was just like, I was a little bit, yeah, all over the place. Anyway, there are 7 habits in this book. The first one is to be proactive. And what I love the most about that was it was talking about resourcefulness and initiative. I love that so much because he was saying that, whenever I even talk to his children, they'll be like, oh, this thing is impossible to do and whatnot. It's like, oh, are you being resourceful right now? And are you actually using your initiative? Because there's always something you can do. And I couldn't agree with that more. But he made me just see like from his perspective, which I really love. So that's habit 1, is to be proactive. Habit 2 is to start with the end in mind. And I believe that each and every single one of us have that problem of actually, sorry, I'm just reaching for this. I actually do have it on my desk because when after I read this book, I literally went, printed it, and actually put it in there so I can like actually kind of like a trigger for me so that I can keep on looking at that. So habit 1 is to be proactive. Habit 2 is to begin with the end in mind, which when you have clarity on where it is that you want to go, you start saying that there's so many things that just show up that are helping you to get to that goal that you're trying to get to. But what happens a lot of times, a lot of us don't actually know what it is that we want. So even when the things do show up that can take us onto the next level or the next thing or the next step, we don't know, we can't recognize it because we don't actually know what it is that we want. We haven't defined it, so we don't really have that clarity. So once you know what the end is, it justifies the means. It means that in any situation you can be proactive to actually get that stuff. Yeah. And even to this day I still battle with that, but I'm like, whew, I think 700% better than where I used to be. Actually, maybe 1,000% better. On like, just even now I don't go into meetings anymore without like a clear purpose of what I'm seeking to actually get from that meeting. What is the result of I'm getting from that meeting? And this is the same for your business, for your job, for your if you're even going out, you need to know what the end in mind. I know that sounds a bit serious, but at least if you already know the end is to have fun, then it determines all the stuff that you're going to do, right? Yeah, that's how I like to think about it. And habit three is to put first things first. So this was talking more about your values as a person, because it's very, a lot of times you see other people, they successful in one part of their life and then they're not successful in other parts of their life. Maybe they're successful financially and then they're not successful however other way, right? Or maybe their marriage works nicely and then they don't have money, or their children don't like them, or their spouse doesn't like them, or they don't like them. So habit three actually deals with that. It says put first things first. So when you make decisions, you want to make it according to your core value, the values, because those principles are the things that you can get motivated, you can get rah rah rah, from a coach or whatever. And the thing is, whenever we get into stress, we go default back into like the person that we actually are. So you gotta make sure that you actually love that person that you are, because that is the person that actually shows up. Obviously, you always like improve yourself and get better and whatnot, but if you're making decisions that don't align with the values that you take to be important, yeah, it's like you self-sabotaging yourself. So yeah, I found that to be very useful. And then habit four is think win-win, which I love that as well, because especially as a salesperson, I think that a lot of times when you're doing B2B, you want to see how can you make the other person win, so that in the process you can also win, so that if we can all win, then obviously this is a good deal for us to do. But if it's a relationship where it's parasitic, it's not symbiotic, it's like, who wants to be in that kind of relationship, like, because we all naturally like greedy and selfish as human beings. And I mean that in a good way. I think it's just an instinct, like we all want to be better or whatever. And you get more influence on people, or you get more from people if you think from a win-win perspective, instead of you just thinking, what, I'm gonna win all the stuff and then I'm gonna use you for it. Who wants to do that? No one. So that means that your degree of influence on those people is not gonna be, it's gonna be bare to minimal to non-existent. And then habit five, seek first to understand, then to be understood. I love this one also as a salesperson, because I think a lot of times we, like you peddling goods to people and whatnot. What if that's not what that person actually wants? But like if you listen, even to your spouse, you listen, don't listen to hear, like listen to actually like listen. And this is a very hard thing to do. I'm not even like going to lie about it. Yeah. Seek first to understand and then to be understood, so that you don't say me, 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 me. If you listen to that other person first, you get their own perspective first, then you put yourself in their shoes, you're more empathetic to take decisions from their, not decisions from their perspective, but also to be able to see their perspective, because remember, the other person is right and you're also right. It just depends on how you're actually looking at the stuff, but it doesn't mean that anybody is wrong. Habit six says synergize. I actually don't remember what this one says, because remember now, guys, I'm just picking three things I need to implement. And then habit seven is sharpen the saw. I love the saw as well, and I believe so much in sharpening the saw, because if you are a carpenter or a furniture maker and you're using your saw all the time but you don't sharpen it, you get to a point whereby your saw gets dull, right? So you want to make sure that you're always constantly improving it. So when you talk about sharpening the saw for a human being, that's emotionally, that's intellectually, that's spiritually, that's those are the three parts I can think about right now. Spiritually, yeah, I think so. So you want to be always like sharpening the saw. And I think one of the things that he said there was about spirituality and how using imagination and using meditation. I'm actually getting into learning meditation, but that's for another video. That's another habit I'm trying to cultivate at the moment, but I can only do one habit at a go, and I think it takes about 21 to 30 days to actually cultivate an habit. I usually just count myself, if I've been doing it consistently for 90 days, then I say to myself, yeah, that's an habit, because your nervous system kind of like get used to it, and like when you're not doing it, it's like pulling you to do it, and you feel like there's something wrong. And I just want to fill it with as many good habits as possible. So yeah, so the one thing I've been implementing from this book, okay, the one thing that I took from it was actually from habit one, which is to be proactive. And that one thing is actually from this book, where it says it talks about two types of circle. Okay, the first circle is your circle of focus, and then the second circle is your circle of influence. And I think that is actually in the other video that I recorded before. I realized that my video wasn't actually recording. So until next time. Hi guys, sorry, my phone rang. Yeah, so I was saying that the biggest takeaway from this is actually, and what I've been implementing for the last 6 months, it's actually in the habit 2 or habit 1, it says circle of influence and circle of focus. So basically, your circle of influence is like all of those things happening in the world that you can't control. For example, in the last 2 years, we've had COVID. They're just things that happened that are out of your own reach. People died. People were born. People are sad, people are this, people are happy. You don't really have control over all of those things, but what you do have control over is yourself, which is your circle of focus. So when you focus on your circle of focus, and you be proactive in that, you increase the influence you're able to make on your immediate surrounding, which just like improves. It's like a ripple wave. And for me, that was a very big thing, because I've always been this person that I want to be able to control things, and for me to just understand, what, it's okay, you're not going to be able to control everything, but what you can do, what you can focus on, whatever it is that you can do in that situation right now, because there's always something you can do, right? Focus on that and get that done, and worry about that, not about COVID and inflation and all of those things that you don't have any control over. Because what happens is that you worry about all of this stuff, and where focus goes, energy goes, right? You just think it is all so big, and you're just this small tiny person in it, and there's no way you can possibly actually deal with all of those things. So it robs you of your, I don't know how to put it, but it robs you of self-confidence, because you feel like there's nothing you can do, but there's always something you can do, So yeah, I definitely do encourage you guys to pick this up. I bought this, I believe, on Amazon, but you can definitely find it on at exclusive books. Please let them know that I sent you. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on another one. And yeah, I'm actually looking for people to actually join a mastermind, and I'm looking for people who have actually read like certain books, who have like certain perspectives, obviously people who are like-minded. And if that is you, please click on the link below, send me an email, and let me know why you would like to join, and I'll catch you on another one. Thank you so much, guys, and bye.